Hello guys, I'm Mark's prediction week 38. It's the last game of the season. We have a few things to talk about, so it's going to be quite a longer video. But let's get straight to the games. All 3 o'clock kickoffs on Sunday. So we start with Tottenham versus Everton. Obviously Tottenham, in the final now against Liverpool in the Champions League. Credit where it's due. It kills me to say it, but credit where it's due. They've more or less got top 4 now anyway. They'd have to lose. They'd have to lose, and Arsenal would have to win 5-0 or something like that at Burnley. So it's more or less, done and dusted now. So for the game, I'm going to actually go Spurs 1, Everton 1. I think Spurs will probably be more interested now, preparing for their Champions League final with Liverpool. So I wouldn't say, I don't know, they'd play the kids, I'm not sure. But I don't think they'll walk all over Everton, let's just put it that way. So I'm going to go for 1-1. In terms of the Champions League, actually I'll do that. I'll do that at the end of the video. So what I think is going to be what. So we have Manchester United versus Cardiff. Obviously Manchester United having about 32 attempts last week, but only 5 of those were on target, and they only scored 1. And that's against Huddersfield. So I didn't actually watch the game, but I've been told, that it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't up to their expectation. Gary Neville had another rant, so you can probably tell it wasn't a great performance, especially being 1-1 as well against Huddersfield. No disrespect to them, but when you're looking to try and get into that top 4 and you're only getting 1-1 to a team that's already been relegated, you probably more or less know that's not going to be your year, and it was a bad game. I don't know if I have the right to say this. Cardiff has already been relegated, so you'd expect this to be a comfortable win for Manchester United. It's their last game at Old Trafford for this season. So I'm going to go Manchester United 2, Cardiff 0. But the way things have gone for Manchester United lately, I'm going to say who the hell knows. And plus it's the last game of the season, so anything can happen. It's a crazy day of the season. So, but I would think that Manchester United would win quite comfortably. But I'm going to say it's not a given. Let's put it like that. We then have Watford versus West Ham. This could be quite a good game to end of the season. 2 teams that aren't really playing anything. I'm not sure that Watford can get into Europe now, or is it Wolves? I can't remember if it's Wolves, Watford, or Leicester that's in Europe for this season. I can't remember now. West Ham ain't really going anywhere. I think they're about 11th, 10th in the table. So nothing in this game for them. So I'm not sure about Watford. I'm not sure if they can get into Europe. But for the game, I'm going to go for a tight draw. I'm going to go Watford 1, West Ham 1. We then have Southampton versus Huddersfield. Obviously, Huddersfield drawing to Manchester United last week. I don't think they did too much during the game. I think it was just another error from Manchester United's defence and obviously from De Gea. Again, nothing really in this game. Southampton 0, Huddersfield 0 for me. Leicester versus Chelsea. Again, nothing really in this game now, apart from, as I say, maybe Leicester can get into Europe. They actually did really well against Manchester City on Monday, but it was a screamer from Vincent Kompany. So maybe Leicester can consider themselves a little bit hard done by for Monday's result, because I think they played really well. Nothing in it for Chelsea. Chelsea in the Europa League final now, going to penalties yesterday, and obviously they've more or less secured 3rd now. All they have to do is win. And I hope that Tottenham draw or lose, and they would have got 3rd. But for the game, I'm actually going to go for a lively game. Let's have a lively game. It's the end of the season. Let's have one. Leicester 2, Chelsea 0. Sorry, I was reading the wrong scoreline. Sorry, Leicester 2, Chelsea 2. Let's have a nice 2-2 for the last game of the season. Let's have one of those. Fulham versus Newcastle. Again, Newcastle consider themselves hard done by a little bit. It was a free kick. I think it was in the 89th minute, was it? And obviously Liverpool went on to win. But again, nothing really in this game. Different kind of atmosphere. Fulham 1, Newcastle 1. Liverpool versus Wolves. Again, I think this could be a hard fixture for Liverpool. It would also be hard for Wolves as well. I'm going to go for Liverpool to nick it, so I'm going to go Liverpool 2, Wolves 1. We then have Palace versus Bournemouth. Again, two teams that aren't really playing for anything. So I'm going to go Palace 1, Bournemouth 1. We then have Brighton versus Manchester City. Obviously, Brighton holding Arsenal to a draw last week at the Emirates. Don't think they did anything special. It's just that Arsenal just decided not to turn up when they had another chance to close in on top four. But there you go. I think Manchester City will be a completely different animal. Far too strong for Brighton. I don't care if it's at Brighton. This is a title winning day for Manchester City. No fucking about for Manchester City for me. Brighton 0, Manchester City 2. And the very last one is Burnley versus Arsenal. Again, nothing really in this game now. Arsenal in the Europa League final. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they play the kids for this game. Nothing in it for Burnley other than pride. But I'm going to go for Arsenal to nick it. I want to try and keep that momentum going into that Europa League final. So I'm going to go Burnley 0, Arsenal 1. So in terms of the review of how this season's gone, I think it's been pretty good. We've had a good relegation battle. It's gone more or less down to the wire. I think it was completed last week. Was it last week when Cardiff got relegated? So maybe two games short from going down to the wire. Same as the top four. That more or less ended last week. So it didn't quite make the last game of the season. But as for the title race, it's been really, really exciting. For the past 5 years, we've had Chelsea being 15 points clear, Man City being 20 points clear. Then there was and then Leicester was 10 points clear of Arsenal. Then I think it was Manchester City again, who were about 20 points clear again. So this season's been a real proper tight race. We haven't had one of those for quite a long time, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Now Liverpool have Wolves on the last game of the season, and as I said, I do think that Liverpool will beat Wolves, and Manchester City play Brighton, and I think that Manchester City will beat Brighton, which means that Manchester City would win the title. So I'm going to go for Manchester City to win the title. That's for the Premier League. And for the Premier League this year, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think the reason it didn't make the 10 out of 10 was because there was too many inconsistent games. Like, as I said, there was a chance for Manchester United to close in on this gap. Drew to Brighton, drew to Chelsea, drew to Burnley 2-2. Arsenal, so many chances they had. Got battered to Everton, got battered to Leicester, got held up to a draw last week against Brighton. So many inconsistent performances from these teams. I think Spurs lost about 9 games this year and still found themselves 4th. Crazy. Chelsea, they were nowhere near this flipping top 4 race around Christmas time. 3rd. It's been crazy, man. It's been absolutely crazy. But yeah, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, and I think that the 9 out of 10 is because of the title race. Other than that, I would give it a 7 or a 6 because I said there's been so many inconsistent games and so many inconsistent teams this year. It was just so poor. But the title race has been really enjoyable. So 9 out of 10. The FA Cup is Watford versus Manchester City. Yeah, I mean, we all support the underdog on the day, and who knows? It is an FA Cup final. Maybe Watford could win 1-0, but I just think that Manchester City will be too strong for Watford's, unfortunately. So I'm going to go for Manchester City to win the title and the FA Cup. The Champions League is Tottenham versus Liverpool. I know what Spurs did to Ajax on Wednesday, but let's also look at what Liverpool did to Barcelona on the Tuesday, coming back and winning 4-0. And let's get it right. Liverpool are no Ajax, and I think that Liverpool are going to have a fit. I know it's a Champions League final and this, that, and the other, but I just feel, if I'm judging against the two sides, I just feel that Liverpool are going to have a field day. I'm not saying that the scoreline is going to be a field day, but I would say that Liverpool would create more chances and have more fun at the final than Tottenham. But I'm going to go for Liverpool to win it. And it's nothing to do with being an Arsenal fan. I just think that Liverpool are a lot stronger. And if they don't win the title, say for instance, then they're definitely. I wouldn't say that winning the Champions League for the 6th year. For the 6th time isn't a bad backup prize, is it? So that's what I'm going to say. Man City title, Liverpool Champions League. And I think Liverpool do deserve something this year. I don't think they'll win the title, but I do think they deserve, something for their efforts this year. So as I say, Champions League's not a bad prize, is it? The League Cup was Manchester City. Manchester City won the League Cup. Was quite a good game actually. We had that incident with Kepa and Sarri, didn't we, on the sidelines. And then we have the Europa League final, which is Arsenal versus Chelsea. Again, a lot of people are going to say that's only because you're an Arsenal fan, but I'm going to explain it. It's nothing to do with being an Arsenal fan, because even my mate, who was a Manchester United fan, thinks that Arsenal will win this game. And the reason why I think Arsenal will win this game is because it's hard to motivate yourself. Yes, I know it's a derby, and I know that Chelsea aren't going to do Arsenal no favours, but technically Chelsea are already in the Champions League. You know, they're going to finish third or fourth regardless, so they're in the Champions League. And Arsenal will be a lot more motivated for this game. And I think Arsenal's been a lot stronger in Europe this year than Chelsea. You know, Chelsea was at Stamford Bridge yesterday and went all the way to penalties against Frankfurt. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is Arsenal's chance now. They're fucked up in the Premier League. Too many inconsistent games. This is the chance. We're 90 minutes away now. Maybe a bit of extra time and penalties, but really I'd want to do it in 90 minutes. So I think we're 90 minutes away now from make or break. You know, and I think winning the Champions League as well is very important to Arsenal, because more money to spend and get rid of the players that are not good enough for Arsenal, and we can bring in, you know, better players with the right quality of money, Champions League money, to bring the right players that we need to push on and maybe have a title race next year, or, you know, a top 4 race next year or something like that. I wouldn't really say that Arsenal are in a top 4 race this year, because no one really expected us to do it. And we just didn't really play a lot one that was, you know, going for one. I mean, as I say, some of the games that we lost to this year, I mean, nothing's really changed from last year. I'm going to judge Arsenal's performance season this year, actually. I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10. As I say, Europe, they were strong, but they were strong last year with Wenger. They got to Atletico Madrid in the semi-final, but obviously lost, and this year we got to the final. I do think that Emery is better than Wenger. You know, he makes tactical decisions and that, but sometimes he made decisions that made me think, oh, I don't quite understand that. Like, he went with 2 defensive midfielders at home against Crystal Palace. Don't understand it. He went 2 defensive midfielders at Everton, which we was on a good roll before we went to Everton. Don't understand it. So Emery, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I don't blame him, because a lot of those were Arsene Wenger players. And if you're just not good enough to do the job that I'm asking you to do, then that's why I say that Arsenal need a massive clear out. And really, we should judge Emery next season with the players that he brings in and with his system. But as for the season, I do think Arsenal were better than last season. The points obviously prove that we're actually 10 points better off than we were last season, going into the last game of the season. I think last year I gave them a 4 out of 10, so this year I got them a 6 out of 10. So next year I'd want to be around the 7 or the 8 kind of, you know, market. You know, I've had too many seasons now. You know, we've been been down the bottom. We've been really inconsistent. So let's give Emery a chance. Let's give him another transfer window, and let's give him another season, and let's see what he can do with Arsenal next year. So 6 out of 10 for Arsenal this year. And just, you know, finally, I'd like to thank everybody, you know, who's given me the thumbs up this year, who give me their support, and I'd also like to thank everybody, you know, that's respected my views, hasn't left any rude comments. Most of them, in fact, I think all of them, for the past 2 seasons in a row now, have been really positive, been given loads of support, loads of thumbs up, not many thumbs down. As I say, people are entitled to their opinion, you know, and if you don't like the video, that's what the thumbs are there for, the thumbs down or the thumbs up. And as I say, I don't mind, you know, advice, kind of criticism, if you like, you know, advice that's going to help me, you know, push to, you know, be more successful. But anything rude or, you know, unnecessary, it's just going to get blocked, and you know, it's just a waste of time. So unfortunately, I think, should I say, fortunately, we don't have to worry about that anymore, because I've had 2 seasons in a row now. I haven't had to worry about that. So thank you for that. I hope everyone has a really, really nice summer. I hope the last game of the season, you know, is quite entertaining. I don't think it really will be, but, you know, one can hope. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for Arsenal, 9 out of 10 for the Premier League. Can't really complain, can you? Thanks, guys, and I will see you around August time for next season. Thank you for watching, guys.